Alright, so hello students, this is a recap. We're gonna go video by video, and in the first video, I'm gonna focus on chapters 1, 2, and also chapter 3. So without further ado, let's start. Chapter 1, what do you need to focus on? Let me just see. Not all this has been asked in the mid-semester exam, so we're not gonna we're gonna focus on history. I know it's quite boring, but and also you don't really need to really remember the exact dates. What you need to do is kind of have a sense of where everything belongs. Like, we started with first the development of 2D computer graphics, and then what came after that. Probably in the 70s we're starting to get more 3D, and all the shaders were developed, that kind of thing. You don't really need to memorize all this, but kind of know, like, what items belongs in which era. And then, in the 80s we have all those computer graphics movies released one by one, and so on. So so focus on that. And probably that's all I will ask. I will not ask this stuff here from the probably 90s onwards, not this kind of stuff. All right, so that's it. And also, going down here, the fundamentals of a digital model. So we have polygonal models, NURBS, and sub-Ds. Yeah, so focus on only NURBS, because I'm going to ask you about NURBS, and how is it useful, where is it used, also subdivision surfaces, like what they are, what's the definition, and why are they popular. And finally, vertex maps. I know this has been asked in the mid-semester exam, but that was just a matching question, so it was quite easy. What you need to do now is you need to be able to articulate every single vertex map if I were to ask it in the final exam. So for instance, what are weight maps? How can you use it? Perhaps what are morph maps, or what are selection maps, and so on. Okay, so that's what you need to focus on. Moving on to chapter 2. Alright, chapter 2 is the computer modeling method. So basically, I'm not going to ask all this. This has been done. You've been doing a lot of this in the labs, so no use to ask the same thing. This you haven't done, the digital sculpting method. So focus on this one. You know, basically, don't go confused when I ask it, what is digital sculpting. Don't go confused when given the terms like, these tools like ZBrush or Mudbox. So please do understand what they are. And then we didn't do any 3D scanning. Focus on this as well. What is the 3D scanning method? What are the different types of 3D scanners that are available out there? And also, this one here, we didn't do all this. Some of you did. I did see some people use dynamics in their modeling in their final project. So focus on this. What are, perhaps text displacement maps? How can you use it? What kind of objects do you produce with it? Bones as well as dynamics. What are the different types? Don't confuse between soft body dynamics and rigid body dynamics, as well as you should be able to give examples when I ask that kind of question. Alright, so that's basically chapter 2. Moving on, chapter 3. Alright, chapter 3 is, it's a bit of a common sense chapter. Like, what do you do before starting to model? How do you collect your reference? How do you go about understanding your model? And I do give you like some examples of questions you can ask, but of course I won't ask the same thing. I want you to think on your own, like, if given a model, what can you ask? So it's a lot of common sense, but reading through this would give you some ideas on how to answer that question later on. Also, we have all this. Where do you get reference material? Of course, it's not a lot of memory recalling, so I'm not gonna ask you like list down 4 ways. No, I'm not gonna ask that. What I want you to be able to do is to really explain for instance, if I were to ask something like, for instance, physical reference, it's the best reference available out there. And say, you should be able to articulate like why is it the best reference available out there. So be able to explain that would set you, higher in answering those questions. Or for instance, sketchbook, why is it much better as compared to a digital camera? This is pretty much common sense. So think about that kind of thing, for instance. Or a lot of you like to Google things off the internet. But what if you didn't have Google? For instance, why is going to the library and getting books much better than actually Googling it, or getting digital reference off the internet? So please know how to explain that kind of thing. Or for instance, you see, there's someone has infringed copyright laws. Why did he infringe it? Like what did he do to actually broke the copyright laws? So you should be able to articulate that if I were to give an example. Alright, so I'm not going to ask this. So that's pretty much what it is, what I will ask later on in the final exam. Alright, so that's chapters 1, 2, 3 covered. In the next video we'll cover chapters 4, 5, 6. Thank you.